am a huge bookworm. I read a lot in my free time. I read a lot of fantasy books. It's just being able to escape the world and go to a whole new world where what happens in life is not what matters at that time, but you can just immerse yourself completely into a different world. I met my ex-boyfriend when I was, I think, 14 years old. Both of our families were on a cruise to Alaska. I was from Florida, he was from California. We started talking a little bit, and about a year later, it turned into a long-distance relationship. And when I got older, like in junior year of high school, we started doing college trips, and obviously I had a boyfriend out there. I was interested in California, but I was looking at other places. I found the small school that I liked. He happened to be nearby, and I thought everything was going to be perfect. I finally have my boyfriend in person with me. It was nice having him there. It was not all that I imagined it would be. Once I turned 18, we started being sexually active, and it was consensual at first, and then it started switching to him calling me saying, "Hey, I'm in the area, can I come over and spend the night?" And even if I said I don't want anything to happen, he would be like, "I'm here anyways, might as well." It felt wrong every time, but I kept telling myself that I couldn't blame him because I ended up saying yes in the end. In February of 2019, he broke up with me after almost 4 years of being together. And this is the incident that stands out in my mind more than anything. He told me the night before that he was going to break up with me. And I told myself that night, I was like, there's not going to be anything physical that's going to happen. I'm not even going to give him a hug when he comes over and breaks up with me since I knew it was going to happen. And he came over, he broke up with me, and he basically coerced me into saying, yes, we can do that. I was really depressed after the breakup. I went through probably my worst mental health state, probably in my entire life, because at the same time, I had friends leaving me, so I really felt like I couldn't talk to anyone. The biggest thing was that I would call my mom a lot because obviously after a breakup, you want your mom. I'm sorry. So it was really hard going through that phase of life, knowing that I was on the other side of the country. After we broke up, we still kept in contact because since he was the one that ended the relationship, I was still caught up on him. Even after the relationship, I would get the calls, "Hey, I'm in the area, can I come over?" And I felt like I couldn't say no just because he was already down the street by the time he told me. And anytime that he came over, I told myself I didn't want anything to happen, but even if I had to study, again, it was like, I'm here already, we might as well. He continued to manipulate me afterwards. He called me a bunch of bad names and slurs. That went on for a few months, and it wasn't until about August of 2019 where I stopped letting him come over. I started realizing that wasn't healthy, but I didn't really understand that it was not consent until I took a human sexuality class in college about 2 years later. Part of the curriculum was talking about what consent was, what sounds like consent and what isn't consent. And that's where I learned that what he did was considered sexual assault. If I never took that human sexuality class, I never would have understood just how abusive that relationship was. That was when I started learning it was emotional abuse. And at that point, it really hit me hard that there was sexual abuse involved too. So the night that I figured out the extent of what happened and that it was considered sexual assault, I broke down. I was crying. I called my mom. I had no idea what to do in that situation. I was kind of frozen. I didn't know how to move forward. And she reminded me that my dad had been volunteering with the crisis center for almost my entire life at that point. I called my dad and I said, "Dad, this is what happened. This is what I just figured out. I need help." So obviously he was very upset about what happened, but he knew that what I needed in that point was support more than anything. So he put me in contact with who I needed to at the crisis center. I needed trauma therapy. I was having flashbacks. I was having nightmares. I was seeing an outside psychiatrist as well. And they did diagnose me with PTSD. And it was to the point where I did need medication. I came home for summer that year, and I think it was my first or second week back. I had my first meeting to go over what trauma therapy was, what to expect. It helped a lot, and by the end of the summer, my outside psychiatrist was able to take me off my PTSD medication. It was just a very good time to just feel what happened, understand this happened. I am a survivor of this. Not trying to push it away. It's not what you normally hear for sexual assault, so it's not considered sexual assault, like it didn't happen. This doing trauma therapy with the crisis center allowed me to understand, yes, it happened. Yes, I went through some horrible things, but I can get through it. I was very grateful for the opportunity, especially it felt very easy going into the therapy. I met Curtis in November of 2019. And I was not looking for a committed relationship at all. I was terrified at first of getting directly into another long-term relationship less than a year after my previous one ended. He was very supportive. I told him that it was not a good relationship. I didn't realize the extent of how bad it was at that time, but he knew it was a toxic relationship. So we were taking things slow. He told me he loved me before I knew that I loved him, and he didn't want me to have to worry about saying it back, so he would keep saying it in French to me. He's helped me through everything that I've gone through. He's really been my rock, and I'm very grateful to have him there and support me. I'm doing this video because I want to help others realize that there's not just one definition of sexual assault. Like, it can happen, and there are people out there who have survived it and will be there for you, and that there are plenty of resources that you can go to help. So you're not in this alone.